Other side to see what's in there.
Yeah, let me get a shot from that other side.
Tighten down the banjo bolts.
And you just...
Okay, Dwayne, so you got that other one, that other banjo bolt through and threaded, and now you're going in to do what next?
I'm going to tighten up the banjo bolts, but as we do, we want to try to put a hand down in there where the hoses come off the side of the adapters to try to make sure that we don't have the hoses binding against something or catching on a sharp corner or any of that. It's pretty much by feel. I don't know if you can see any of it, but this front one, like I say, this front one, I've tried to keep the hose pretty much directly underneath the back one once it turns this little corner down in here. Torque the banjo bolts to exactly 25 foot-pounds, more or less.
Give or take.
Try not to lose too many pieces of the tool when you're pulling it out. Okay. We've got the bolts snug down. We've got the hoses more or less routed, at least up towards the front where we can get to them easily and everything. So take yourself a little break. Miller time. Well, not Miller yet. We wait till afterwards for Miller. Right now, we're just going to take a little short break. All right. The cooler on this particular year model, I put the brackets on the outside, and it slides right down in here. We'll do some more fine tuning later. Right now, we're just getting an approximate position, and we're going to make a couple of marks here with a marker. If you look down in here, you can see that there are two pieces of metal here and a little plastic thing down there. I want to try to mark the plastic about where its location is and where the two metal things are. I can get it to mark. There it is. What I'm going to do is put some protection on, protective pads in there, so that we don't end up with any metal on metal down in there once we mount it. While we've got it here, we could mark on this power steering line, mark the edges of this thing on the approximate edges. And I've got the cooler towards the passenger side so that it's almost even with the edge of the air conditioner condenser. You can see right in here. Any place in that approximate area is good because it allows you plenty of room over here where your hoses are going to be on the fittings so that you don't have any sharp edges or sharp turns to go around. Got it. A little more prep work now. I've got some rubberized tape I use for this, but any kind of a little padding, if you got some little pieces of leather or basically anything to keep it from metal on metal. And then these, put right down here on the bottom. That's where the two little metal things will be inside there, so we won't have metal on metal. And then make one a little bit longer for the middle, where that middle plastic thing is, and wrap it all the way around so that there's no chance of getting the metal on metal there. Then you can use the same thing, you can use something slightly different, but I cut little pieces about 3/8 of an inch wide of any kind of padding. Same stuff will work. I just happen to have something different. And stick these on the back side of the cooler that's going to go against the condenser in each corner, so that it doesn't have metal on metal there. And I usually cut one a little bit bigger that are double sized. Put that right in the middle of this thing, because this is bowed a little bit. It's hard to see, but it's actually bowed a little bit that direction. And the air conditioner condenser is actually bowed a little bit the other way. So that's where they tend to meet first.
Okay.
Little bit of protection. And the other two corners here. Glue off, paper off, right there. Okay, about ready. Cut off a couple little pieces of the extra hose. Any of the hoses, just a little piece. It's the length of the the marks and the brackets. Then we pop this over the power steering line, and we have a nice pad to mount that bracket against without hurting anything. And they can be slid whichever way they need to go a little bit when you get the cooler in there. Let me check here.
All of that looks pretty decent.
Now, route the hoses up there in that general direction, so we can go ahead and hook up the cooler. Come out just to the side of right beside the radiator. We'll fine tune as we go along. Get them out there where we've got them accessible. And this is open, so it's easy enough to get out there. And you want to double check and make sure that your back hose is on top. I mentioned earlier that it really doesn't make any difference which way, top and bottom, whether it's in or out, unless you have a bypass. If you decide to install a bypass, you have to know which hose is coming out of the transmission and which is returned. The one towards the back of the vehicle is the pressure side coming out of the transmission. In this case, it'll be the top one. We want to try to get the hose about the right length. We're going to have quite a bit extra hose, but it's always better to have a lot extra than be a couple inches short. And I try to leave this with a little bit of excess here, a little bit of floppiness, because this will have to be moved around. This cooler has to come out in order to change spark plugs, because you have to tilt the radiator forward and it won't tilt with this in there. So try to make it to the end of the fitting, and then about the same thing on the bottom one. Try to leave a little extra so you can rearrange as you need to. And use a couple more of our oversized hose clamps. It's easier to do the bottom one first. A little bit of lubrication helps. Make sure you put the hose clamp on and put the nut towards the driver's side, towards the outside, so that it'll fit down in there as we're installing it later.